Imagine a language where the words for numbers simply don't exist beyond a few or many, and colors are just light or dark. Picture building your home nearly 150 feet up in a towering tree, not for the view, but to escape earthly troubles and unseen spirits. Consider a people who believe they are the elder brothers of humanity, tasked with maintaining the cosmic balance of the entire planet through complex rituals and meditations. And then there's an island community that has greeted nearly every outsider with a hail of arrows for what might be tens of thousands of years, fiercely guarding their solitude. These aren't scenes from a fantasy novel. They are glimpses into the lives of some of the most isolated civilizations on Earth, communities that have developed unique ways of life, far from the bustling interconnectedness of our modern world. Their customs, born from centuries of separation, offer a look into the incredible diversity of human experience. Number 7. The Rapa Nui, Easter Island's stone giants, and silent secrets. Far out in the southeastern Pacific Ocean, more than 2,000 miles from the coast of Chile, lies a tiny speck of land known as Rapa Nui, or Easter Island. Its isolation is almost legendary. For centuries, the Rapa Nui people developed a complex society with virtually no contact with the outside world. This profound solitude allowed them to create one of the most iconic and mysterious cultural legacies on the planet: the giant stone statues called Moai. These monolithic human figures, often with oversized heads and solemn expressions, are carved from volcanic tuff. There are almost 1,000 of them scattered across the island, some standing proudly on ceremonial platforms called ahu, others lying unfinished in the quarry at Rano Raraku, and still others toppled over, perhaps by internal conflict or earthquakes. The sheer scale of this endeavor is astounding. The average Moai is about 13 feet tall and weighs around 14 tons, but some are much larger, with the tallest completed Moai reaching nearly 33 feet and weighing a staggering 82 tons. One unfinished Moai, if completed, would have been about 70 feet tall and weighed an estimated 270 tons. How did a small, isolated population manage to carve, transport, and erect these colossal statues without wheels, draft animals, or metal tools? This question has puzzled researchers for generations. The Rapa Nui themselves have oral traditions that speak of the Moai walking to their destinations, imbued with a spiritual power called mana. Modern experiments suggest various methods, including using ropes, wooden sledges, log rollers, or a walking technique where the statue is rocked side to side. Whatever the exact method, it required incredible ingenuity, immense labor, and a highly organized society. These statues are generally believed to represent deified ancestors, powerful chiefs, or important lineage figures, gazing inland to watch over their descendants and project their protective mana. As Rapa Nui society evolved, and perhaps as resources like large trees became scarcer, the focus of their ritual life shifted from Moai carving to a new, equally fascinating custom. The Tangata, Manu or Birdman cult, centered at the ceremonial village of Orongo, perched on the dramatic cliff edge of the Rano Kau volcano. This annual competition was a test of strength, skill, and courage. Contenders, or their chosen representatives, would climb down the treacherous cliffs, swim through shark-infested waters to the nearby islet of Motunui, and wait sometimes for weeks for the arrival of the sooty terns, Manu Tara. The first man to find a sooty tern egg, secure it, and swim back to Rapa Nui, successfully scaling the cliffs again to present it unbroken to his sponsor, would make that sponsor the Tangata Manu for the year. This new leader held a sacred status and significant power, controlling access to resources. Petroglyphs depicting bird-human figures are abundant at Orongo, testifying to the importance of this ritual, which continued even into the early days of European contact. The Rapa Nui also developed a unique script known as Rongo Rongo, found on wooden tablets. To this day, it remains undeciphered, holding silent the stories, genealogies, or rituals of this remarkable isolated culture. Profound isolation of Rapa Nui shaped a people who expressed their connection to their land and ancestors in ways that continue to captivate and mystify the world. Number 6. The Suri people. Lip plates, cattle love, and fierce stick fights. Deep in the southwestern corner of Ethiopia, close to the border with South Sudan, lies the remote Omo Valley, a region that has been a cradle of unique cultures for millennia. Among the peoples who call this challenging environment home are the Suri, also known as the Surma. Until recent decades, their contact with the outside world was minimal, allowing them to maintain traditions that are both striking and deeply meaningful within their society. Two of their most well-known customs are the practice of women wearing large clay lip plates and the fierce ritualized stick-fighting tournaments known as donga. The lip plate, called a dibai, a tugum by the Suri, is a significant cultural marker for women. The process usually begins when a girl reaches her mid-teens. Her lower lip is pierced, and a small wooden or clay peg is inserted. Over time, progressively larger plates are inserted, stretching the lip. The final plates can be several inches in diameter, made of hardened clay, and sometimes decorated with carvings. While to outsiders this might seem extreme, within Suri culture, the lip plate is associated with female beauty, maturity, and social status. The size of the plate can also influence the bride wealth a woman's family receives, often paid in cattle. Young women generally have a say in whether they want their lip pierced and how large they want to stretch it. It's a tradition passed down through generations, a visible symbol of Suri identity and a woman's journey into adulthood. Plates are typically removed for eating and sleeping, but worn on important social occasions and when serving men food. Another central aspect of Suri culture, particularly for men, is the donga, or ceremonial stick fighting. These events usually take place after the rainy season, when food is plentiful. Young men from different villages gather, armed with long, thin poles, their bodies often painted with white clay and intricate patterns. The objective is to strike an opponent and knock them down or force them to yield. While there are referees and some rules, for instance, it's forbidden to hit a man who is already down. The fighting can be incredibly fierce and injuries are common, sometimes even resulting in fatalities. Scars from donga fights are often seen as marks of courage and masculinity. Success in donga can elevate a man's status within the community, making him more attractive to young women seeking husbands. It's not just about individual prowess. Donga also serves as a way to settle inter-village disputes, release aggression in a somewhat controlled environment, and reaffirm social bonds. Beyond these visually arresting customs, the Suri have a profound connection to their cattle. Cattle represent wealth, social standing, and are a primary source of food, milk, and blood, less frequently meat. They are central to many social transactions, including bride wealth, and men often take names that honor their favorite cattle. Their isolated existence has nurtured a way of life where these traditions remain vibrant and integral to their identity. Number 5. The Korowai, living high above the world in treetop homes. Hidden within the dense, swampy rainforests of southeastern Papua, a province of Indonesia on the island of New Guinea, live the Korowai people. Until the 1970s, they had virtually no contact with the outside world, believing themselves to be the only humans on Earth. Their isolation was so complete that when Western anthropologists first encountered them, it was a meeting of two entirely separate worlds. One of the most astonishing aspects of Korowai culture is their architecture. They are renowned for building their family homes high up in the canopies of tall trees, sometimes reaching heights of 80, 100, or even up to 150 feet above the ground. These remarkable structures, known as rumah tinggi, are not built for novelty or the view, but for very practical and spiritual reasons. The high elevation offers protection from the sweltering heat and humidity at ground level, as well as from the swarms of mosquitoes and other biting insects that carry diseases like malaria. It also provides a defense against flooding, a common occurrence in their lowland rainforest environment. Furthermore, traditionally, tree houses served as a defense against rival clans, making surprise attacks more difficult. Perhaps the most compelling reason for their lofty homes is rooted in their spiritual beliefs. Korowai have a complex cosmology and a strong belief in malevolent spirits and witches, whom they call laleo. They believe these evil spirits roam the forest floor at night, and living high in the trees keeps them safe from these entities. Each treehouse is typically home to a single family unit, often including a few pigs and dogs. They are constructed using traditional methods, with wooden poles for the frame, sago palm fronds for a thatched roof, and bark for the floors and walls. A notched pole serves as a ladder for access, often with a fireplace built on a clay hearth inside. Building such a home is a communal effort, requiring great skill and courage. Korowai worldview is also shaped by their understanding of kahua, which can be described as a witch or a malevolent spirit that takes human form. Historically, the Korowai practiced a form of ritualized cannibalism related to their belief in kahua. They believed that a kahua would secretly consume a person's insides, causing them to die mysteriously. The dying person would sometimes whisper the name of the kahua who was eating them. After the person's death, it was the duty of the remaining family and clan members to capture and kill the identified kahua, and then consume their flesh as a form of retribution and to destroy the evil spirit. It's important to understand this practice not as indiscriminate man-eating, but as a complex judicial and spiritual system within their specific belief structure. While this practice is reported to have significantly declined or disappeared due to outside influence and Indonesia's government presence, the underlying belief system about spirits and the causes of misfortune often persists. Their life is deeply intertwined with the forest, particularly the sago palm, which is their staple food. The process of felling a sago palm, pulverizing its pith, and washing it to extract the starchy flour is a laborious but essential part of their sustenance and culture. Korowai offer a profound example of how a people can adapt to a challenging environment and develop a unique and intricate culture in near-total isolation. Number 4. The Hadza, echoes of ancient hunter-gatherers in modern Tangkheid. In the vicinity of Lake Gayasi, in the Great Rift Valley of northern Takapan, live the Hadza people, or Hadzabe. They are one of the last remaining hunter-gatherer populations on Earth, their way of life offering a window into how humans might have lived for tens of thousands of years. Their relative isolation, though increasingly threatened by encroachment from pastoralist and agricultural groups, has allowed them to maintain many of their ancient traditions, including their unique clique-based language and a profoundly egalitarian social structure. The Hadza's persistence as hunter-gatherers in the 21st century is remarkable. Their diet is incredibly diverse and directly sourced from their environment. Men typically hunt wild game using bows and arrows, the arrowheads often coated with a potent poison made from the sap of the desert rose shrub. They hunt animals ranging from small birds and hyraxes to larger game like zebras, giraffes, and buffalo, though big game hunting is less frequent now due to changing animal populations. Men are also experts at finding honey, a highly prized food. They will follow honey guide birds, which lead them to bees' nests high in baobab trees or cliffs, and then bravely, often with the use of smoke, extract the honeycomb. Women and children, meanwhile, are primarily responsible for gathering plant foods. They have an encyclopedic knowledge of edible tubers, berries, baobab fruit, a staple rich in vitamin C and calcium, and various roots and greens. This division of labor is flexible, and the gathered food is crucial for daily sustenance. They live a nomadic or semi-nomadic lifestyle, moving their simple temporary grass hut camps according to the availability of food and water. One of the most distinctive features of the Hadza is their language, known as Hazain. It's an isolate meaning. It's not known to be related to any other language in the world. What makes it particularly fascinating is its use of click consonants similar to some of the Khoisan languages of southern Africa, though Hazain is not related to them. These clicking sounds, integrated into words, make their speech unique and complex. It's a language perfectly adapted to communicating in an environment where quiet and subtle sounds can be crucial for hunting or signaling. Beyond their subsistence in language, Hadza society is characterized by its profound egalitarianism. They have no official chiefs or leaders in the traditional sense. Decisions are generally made by group consensus, and individuals have a high degree of autonomy. Sharing especially of meat from a hunt and honey is a fundamental social norm. If a hunter brings back a large animal, it is distributed among the camp. This emphasis on sharing helps to ensure that everyone has enough to eat and minimizes social hierarchies. They tend to have very few material possessions, valuing mobility and freedom over accumulated wealth. This ancient way of life, with its deep connection to the land, unique linguistic heritage, and commitment to equality, provides invaluable insights into human adaptability and social organization. Number 3. The Pairaha, the people who live only in the present. Along the banks of the Matsi River, a tributary of the Amazon in Brazil, live the Pairaha people, a small indigenous group of a few hundred individuals. They have become famous in linguistic and anthropological circles for their exceptionally unique language and culture, which seems to challenge some widely held theories about what constitutes human language and thought. Their determined resistance to assimilation and their focus on immediate experience make them one of the most culturally distinct and isolated groups, even amidst the diverse cultures of the Amazon rainforest. The Pairaha language is perhaps their most talked about feature, largely due to the extensive work and sometimes controversial claims of linguist Daniel Everett, who lived with them for many years. According to Everett, Pairaha lacks several features considered by some linguists to be universal to human language. One of the most striking claims is the absence of recorking, which is the ability to embed clauses within clauses, e.g., the man who saw the dog that chased the cat. If true, this would challenge Noam Chomsky's theory that Rapa is a fundamental component of human grammar. Furthermore, Pairaha is said to have one of the simplest pronoun systems known, and no fixed words for colors. They describe colors in comparative terms, like blood-like for red, or simply as light or dark. Perhaps most astonishingly, the language reportedly has no words for numbers or a concept of counting beyond hoi, roughly small size or amount, hoi, roughly somewhat larger size or amount, sometimes two, and bajiso or ayabagi, meaning many or a buncher. They do not count, measure, or keep track of quantities in a numerical way. Their entire grammatical system seems oriented towards conveying information about immediate, directly experienced events. This focus on direct personal experience extends deeply into their culture and worldview. The Pairaha appear to live almost entirely in the present. They have no creation myths, no traditional stories of their origins passed down through generations, and no collective memory that extends much beyond the living memory of the oldest members of the tribe. Their narratives and conversations revolve around things they have seen, heard, or done themselves, or that someone they know has directly experienced. This has profound implications for their daily lives. For example, they tend not to store food for long periods, preferring to forage or fish for what they need each day. They build simple, temporary shelters. Attempts by missionaries and outsiders to introduce concepts like a single creator God, historical narratives, or even basic numeracy have reportedly met with indifference or incomprehension because these things fall outside their principle of verifiable immediate experience. They are skilled hunters, fishers, and gatherers, possessing an intimate knowledge of their environment. While they do engage in some trade with neighboring river communities for items like machetes, cloth, or fishing hooks, they have largely resisted adopting broader aspects of outside culture or technology that do not offer immediate practical utility within their existing way of life. Pairaha offer a fascinating, if sometimes debated, example of a people whose language and culture emphasize the here and now to an extraordinary degree. Number 2, the Kogi, the Elder Brothers, guarding the heart of the world. High in the isolated Sierra Nevada de Santa Marta Mountains of northern Colombia, a stunning coastal mountain range that soars from Caribbean beaches to snow-capped peaks, live the Kogi people. Along with their neighbors the Arhuaco, Wiwa, and Canquamo, they are direct descendants of the ancient Tairona civilization, which flourished long before the Spanish conquest. When the conquistadors arrived, the Tairona fiercely resisted, and eventually, many retreated higher into the mountains, deliberately isolating themselves to preserve their culture, traditions, and unique spiritual worldview. Kogi see themselves as the elder brothers of humanity, tasked with maintaining the balance of the earth, or the Great Mother. Central to Kogi belief is Aluna, the Great Mother, the creator of all things, the source of life, thought, and consciousness. They believe Aluna first dreamed the world into existence, and that the Sierra Nevada de Santa Marta is the heart of the world. This sacred territory is a microcosm of the entire planet, with every ecosystem from tropical lowlands to glacial peaks represented. Kogi believe that the health of these mountains is directly linked to the health of the entire planet. Their spiritual leaders, known as mamos, undergo intense and lengthy training from a very young age, often spending the first 9 to 18 years of their lives in darkness within sacred ceremonial houses or caves, learning to connect with Aluna and the spiritual world. This training is designed to teach them to see beyond the physical world, to understand the spiritual laws that govern existence, and to learn the ancient rituals, songs, and divinations necessary to maintain cosmic equilibrium. Kogi believe that they, as the elder brothers, have a sacred duty to care for the Great Mother and ensure the balance of nature. They see the rest of humanity, particularly modern industrial societies, as younger brothers who, in their ignorance and pursuit of material wealth, are damaging the earth, disrupting its natural cycles, and causing sickness to the Great Mother. This sickness, they believe, manifests as climate change, pollution, deforestation, and social unrest. Mamos spend their lives in deep meditation, making offerings, pigamentos, at sacred sites, satuqua, throughout the Sierra Nevada. These offerings, which might consist of small beads, cotton threads, or shells, are not sacrifices in the common sense, but rather repayments to the spiritual forces for the resources humans use and acts of healing for the earth. Kogi live simple agricultural lives, growing potatoes, beans, yucca, and other crops in small plots, always with a deep respect for the land. They wear simple white cotton clothing, symbolizing the purity of the snow-capped peaks. In recent decades, alarmed by the accelerating environmental destruction they perceive, the Kogi have cautiously broken their centuries of isolation to deliver messages or warnings to the younger brother, urging a change in behavior to prevent global catastrophe. Their profound spiritual connection to the earth and their unwavering commitment to their role as its guardians, developed in deep isolation, offer a starkly different perspective on humanity's place in the world. Number 1. The Sentinelese, the world's most unshakable isolationists. On North Sentinel Island, a small forested island in the Andaman chain in the Bay of Bengal, lives a group of people who are arguably the most isolated humans on the planet, the Sentinelese. For what is estimated to be as long as 60,000 years, they have lived in almost complete voluntary isolation, resisting virtually all attempts at contact from the outside world, often with fierce hostility. Their continued existence as an uncontacted tribe in the 21st century is a testament to their resilience and their unwavering determination to remain apart. The Indian government, which has jurisdiction over the Andaman Islands, has established a 3-mile, now extended to 5 nautical miles, exclusion zone around North Sentinel Island to protect both the Sentinelese from diseases to which they likely have no immunity and outsiders from their predictable and often violent reception. The most defining characteristic of the Sentinelese, from an external perspective, is their consistent and forceful rejection of outsiders. Nearly every documented attempt at contact or even close approach has been met with a shower of arrows or spears. In 1880, a British colonial administrator, Maurice Vidal Portman, led an armed expedition that managed to capture an elderly couple and 4 children. The adults soon sickened and died after being taken from the island, and the children were returned with gifts, after which they disappeared back into the forest. After the 1956 Indian law protecting tribal groups, official gift-dropping expeditions occurred sporadically from the 1970s to the 1990s, where officials would leave coconuts, iron, or other goods on the beach. Sometimes the Sentinelese would approach after the boats retreated to collect the items. Other times they would signal their displeasure with weapons. In 1981, the cargo ship MV Primrose ran aground on a reef off North Sentinel Island. After several days, the crew observed small, dark-skinned men carrying spears and arrows, building boats on the beach, clearly preparing to approach the ship. Crew issued an urgent distress call and were eventually rescued by helicopter just as the weather calmed enough for the Sentinelese to launch their attack. More recently, in 2006, Sentinelese archers killed 2 fishermen who had illegally approached the island and whose boat had drifted too close. And in 2018, an American missionary, John Allen Chow, was killed after illegally traveling to the island multiple times in an attempt to make contact and preach Christianity. These incidents underscore their unambiguous desire to be left alone. Because of this profound and defended isolation, very little is known for certain about Sentinese's culture, language, or beliefs. Observations made from a distance, primarily from boats or helicopters, suggest they are hunter-gatherers. They appear to hunt terrestrial wildlife, possibly wild pigs and lizards, and gather wild plants. They are also skilled at fishing and catching crabs in the shallow coastal waters, using bows and arrows and simple outrigger canoes, which are maneuvered with long poles in the calm lagoons, but are not suitable for open sea travel. Their shelters are simple, lean-to-type huts with no side walls, sufficient for small family units. They do not appear to practice agriculture. Believed they do not know how to make fire, but rather carefully preserve embers from lightning strikes in clay pots or hollowed-out logs. They have been observed using metal objects like iron that wash ashore or are left as gifts, skillfully fashioning them into arrowheads and tools, indicating an understanding of cold forging. Their population is estimated to be anywhere from a few dozen to perhaps a couple of hundred individuals, but exact numbers are impossible to obtain. Their language is completely unknown and unintelligible to speakers of other Andamanese languages, suggesting a very long period of separation. The Sentinelese represent an extraordinary case of human autonomy and cultural persistence, a people who have deliberately chosen to remain a mystery to the wider world, guarding their ancient way of life on their small island home.